Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So tonight we're discussing 4 essential books on Aqidah, but they're not extremely basic, but your 4 basic books on Aqidah. Alright? So like with the new shahadas, alhamdulillah, they've completed their Aqidah lessons, all 9, alhamdulillah, sped up the process so they can get it done. So now the next thing that we're going to go to, outside of the other direction I took y'all to, because on the Aqidah side. So these 4 essential basic books about Aqidah, right? Now, this is extremely important. Alhamdulillah. So like these, they're short treaties. But I have ijazas in all of these. I think I got 2 in Al-Qawaid Al-Arba. I got 2 by 2 different people. And I got 3 in the Waqid al-Islam, right? Alhamdulillah. And the thing about it is, when you get your ijazah from different people, they're giving you the same information. They're going over the same books, but their ability to teach it and abstract different things and then make sure you understand it and that you can explain it back and teach it back to them, it'd be different. You know what I mean? So like, we'll get to it. So let me move this chair. So we're going to clear up a couple of misconceptions. So in Usul al-Thalatha, where you see I got 3 FP, which generally translate to the 3 fundamental principles, and it's broken down to a basic level that it's about the 3 questions in the grave, but it's really more about the ability to be able to answer the 3 questions in the grave. And we're going to clear up a misconception, because okay, just a little brief breakdown of a hadith. When we enter the barzakh, okay, let me paraphrase a hadith, because the new shahadas probably never heard these hadith. Well, I know they haven't, because we discussed some of this a little bit. So once you're in your grave, and then your family and your friends and whoever attends your janazah, they start to walk away. As they start to walk away, you will start to hear their footsteps. This is when you're going to come back through. So you're going to start to hear their footsteps. Then 2 angels, Munkar and Nakir, will come into your grave, and then they're going to sit you up. It's going to be a scary sight. Due to time, I won't go into the descriptions of Munkar and Nakir and some of the differences of how they've been described and what Munkar and Nakir mean. But Munkar and Nakir are going to sit you up, and not limited to, but these 3 questions in your grave. You're going to be asked, 1, Man Rabbuka? Who is your Lord? So the average individual think that all they got to do is say Allah. Like, that's easy. And it's funny because a particular group of, individuals be trying to tell them that when they say men rabuka, you're not going to be able to answer because you don't understand Arabic. So you had to answer back in Arabic in order to pass. It's way more than that. So they also teach the same thing. So they try to teach some of the people who follow them how to answer these questions in Arabic. So look, so then the next question is Madinuka. What is your deen? Average person, I'm going to say Islam. Right? Then third question, who is your prophet? Who is this man? What do you know of him? Right? Man Nabiyuka. Who is your prophet? And then of course, we feel like we're going to say Rasul Allah. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Seems simple enough, right? If it was this simple, do you think they would write whole books and treaties on being able to answer the questions in the grave? So, the problem is this. These questions right here, the ability to answer them the questions is going to be based off of how you lived and how you deemed. Right? If you up on some shirk, if you're up on some misconceptions about Allah and you don't really know who Allah is, you're not going, and you live like that and you deem like that, when you're asked who is your Lord, you're not even going to be able to say Allah Azza wa Jal. Because fitna may have been your Lord. Because a lot of the Muslims, man, they love fitna. They strive for fitna. And I say that because some of them seek knowledge for the purposes of fitna. Arguing and debating. Not to better their lives, not to implement it into their lives, and not to teach it to others. They want to argue and debate and bicker. That's sometimes the only time some people even look up is something on Islamic Q&A or go to a tafsir or Quran ayat is because they trying to win an argument. You may be up on a deen of fitna. You may be Muslim, but you live your life in accordance with the principles of Christianity, what they created, not what Allah Azza wa Jal sent down. So when you ask that question, you're not going to be able to answer it. And may Allah Azza wa Jal protect us all from this. And as y'all new shahadas, the beauty of y'all getting introduced to this correctly, so that when you go in and start to study it, you already have the roots that belong to the trees in order to bear the fruit. You're going to be able to grasp it better than just, oh, I know how to say Allah, I know how to say Islam, I know how to say Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I'm good. I'm fantastic. Now, when you can't answer this question, Munkar and Nakir got a hammer that's so big, so huge, if they hit a mountain with it. We're continuing, so we starting off with the beginning of the hadith. So we're giving you the hadith in phases, right? And this is authentic hadith. You can find it in Bukhari, Muslim, numerous books of hadith. So, when you can't answer it, like I said, they got a hammer so big, if they hit a mountain, the whole mountain will crumble. So, when they hit your body, right? When they hit your body, now one thing y'all have to be mindful of, and I'm going to leave this up for a little research for y'all. Instead of first 48 and y'all, I'm going to give y'all a little research and y'all can come back with it. There's going to become a point in time that we're going to go back to the original size of Adam alayhi salam. One of the reasons we go back to that original size, and so for some of y'all that don't know the original size, because y'all knew, I got to keep in mind, y'all don't know this, the size of Adam alayhi salam, I want to leave this for y'all research too, but we're going to say around the size of, so you have a basketball rim, we're going to say stack, I'm going to say 4. So stack 4 basketball rims to the top. Not the backboard, just where the rim is. Stack 4 of them. So when y'all come back with it, I know the answer, but I'm saying 4 for a particular reason. But imagine 4 basketball rims. We're going to go back to that size. And one of the reasons of being that size is so that the punishments that you feel is going to be increased. So I want y'all to bring back, so like when you look at the hadith, they put it in cubits. That's why I'm saying 4 basketball rims. So I want y'all to really look into it and do your research and come up with how tall Adam is. And we're going to go back to that size. So part of your homework is see how tall Adam was, and when do we go back to that state? Are we going to be that big in the grave? Or are we going to be that big once we get to our destination in Jannah or Jahannam? Does it start in the grave or in Jahannam? Let me write that down so I don't forget what y'all questions is. Even though I could just go back and listen to the video. I'm going to say revert back to that side. In the grave or destination. Okay, so how tall was Adam? When do we revert back to that size? And will it be in the grave or in the destination? Or you can put in, do we revert back to that size? Okay? So, when, whatever size we are, when we get hit with that hammer, everything that we have right now is going to be crushed and flattened. So you're going to feel all of that pain. Your brain, your eyes, your nose, your heart, everything. Your privates, all going to get crushed at one blow. But you think because I can say Allah, that means you're going to be able to answer the question. Then you're going to be formed back up. Then you're going to be asked, What is your religion? And let me tell you something. If you get hit that first time, the chances of you getting hit 2 more times is almost guaranteed. It's almost guaranteed. So, what is your religion? My religion is Islam. I was a Muslim, right? But we didn't do the deeds in accordance with Islam. Because Islam is the only thing that Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to accept. Like I said, we Muslims, but we live like Christians. And unfortunately, because the way we as urbans give dawah, not all of us urban Muslims, the way we give dawah to each other, we really think that acting like Christians is perfectly fine because we feel like that came from Allah Azza wa Jalla. You know what I'm saying? Not this man-made stuff that they running around with. So we have it in our Aqidah, our belief system, that being like them is perfectly fine because Allah sent them the ways that they have. Although their book is full of shirk. Why would Allah fill his book up with shirk? Why would Allah say that he has a son? It's full of lies and shirks. And anybody who really know how to read it, you will see that there's multiple deities in that book. There's the God of this, the God of that. Anybody who understands what a pharaoh is, a pharaoh basically means a king that became a god. But we won't get into that. Then, who is your prophet? Some people going to come to Islam, right, and say Prophet Muhammad is a prophet, but in their lifestyle, Elijah Muhammad was their prophet. Noble Drew Ali was their prophet, regardless of their word play on the word prophet, just like you have Christians who refer to themselves as prophets and prophetess. Some of the Christian women who preach, I know some personally that refer to themselves as a prophetess due to the wordplay. So again, and I'm not trying to give it all away because for the new shahadas, y'all finna get into these lessons inshallah ta'ala, and as y'all read through them, this is going to make more sense. But your ability to answer these questions is going to be based off of how you lived and how you deemed in accordance with Islam. But this is the scary part for me. We don't know the grading scale. We don't know if you need an A. We don't know if you could get by on a D. But just logical thinking, let's do it like this. This is just logical thinking. Not saying this come from Islam, but I want to give y'all a vision. So you got A, B, then you got C, and then you got D, and you got F. I would say a C is borderline. You might have to have some deeds. It might be some things that do that get you below the line. Then it might be some things that you did that get you above the line. But I would say this right here. I wouldn't want no D's and F's. We don't know the grading scale. This is why you want to, when you hear terms like Ikama as-salat, where people will refer to that as performing your salat perfectly. As perfect as you can get it. Your wudu, as perfect as you can get it. Practicing your Islam, as perfect as you can get it. We want A pluses, B. We want A pluses. Because how we going to say Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our prophet, right? And no disrespect. But our prophet may have, Allah instructed our prophet to instruct us to do things a certain type of way. And then we say, well, this imam possibly within a madhab, not knocking the madhabs, but the imam in this madhab said do it this way, so we don't need those hadiths and stuff. How you gonna say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was your prophet when you're doing things that other people brought to the deen, whether it was bid'ah or it just went against what the Rasul did? These things can possibly be caused to get hit by the hammer. That's why, me personally, on the safe side, I'm gonna stick to that Quran and Sunnah. And let me show y'all something. Let's go back to a basic principle. We're gonna put Dalil. We're gonna go back to a basic principle. So we know Dalil, Quran, Sunnah, Ijma, right? And then Qiyas, with these. So Qiyas got to be done with these, basically off a principle that's already established. So let me tell you this. You start here. So we could say Ijma because they was from the Salaf. Okay? A lot of people agreed with them. In their area, what y'all have to understand is this. And I'm finna give you Salafis a whole nother tool. Okay? Let's say you have Kufa. Right? And then let's say you have Shams. Right? In Kufa, we'll say 80% of the people in Kufa agreed on something. So in Kufa, they had Ijma. But in Shams, the 80% that they agreed on, in Shams, 5% agreed with it. And 95% agreed on something else. So, just because they had ijma on a thing in one city doesn't mean, because we're talking about the Salaf as-Salih. Y'all need to understand this. The four madhabs was people in the Salaf. So in Shams, let's put it this way. Kufa, Hanafi, I'm going to put two E's. Kufa, 80% of them agree with Hanafi. So what Hanafi say? They got ijma. But in Shams, we're going to say Shafi'i, 95% agree with Shafi'i. So now they have ijma on the Shafi'i thing. The Salaf have ijma in a whole nother city on something else. Y'all didn't know this happened, did y'all? So when people still sit down and talk about ijma and a salaf as-salih, this and that, in Kufa and Shams, and then Egypt, where in Egypt we're gonna say 97% was ijma in Egypt, but all these is different, but it's all the salaf as-salih. But y'all don't know that. So why would I, if I'm going to say who my Lord is, why would I start with what people say? Is ijma. Now how do you do that? By turning to a madhab first. Y'all see that? Some people turn to a madhab first. Huh? When they say this ijma. Yeah, but it was probably only ijma in Shams. It was probably only ijma in Kufa. Was this ijma on the whole entire salaf as-salih? See, some of y'all don't know these principles, see. And some of y'all, we're listening to individuals that also don't know these principles. So they scream salaf as-salih, and then just get you to take whatever they push down their throat, whatever they push down your throat. So until, that's why, and I'm breaking it down slowly. That's why I always tell individuals, regardless of what you're looking at, always start at the top until you acquire certain knowledges to understand and know this type of stuff. So you start at the top with Quran, Sunnah, and Ijma, and then you start at the top with Rasul, Abu Bakr, right? Umar and etc. Start at the top, because ijma is implied. They're the Khalifas. You understand? Now when it comes down to some of these modern issues, and if you don't understand how they take customs and how certain things go, if you're not going to have the knowledge to do that, stick with what you've seen in the Quran and Sunnah. Now, of course, I'm saying, but as you educate yourself and find good enough people that you can ask and they can show you some dalil. Just like when individuals ask me something, I'm going to I'm not going to tell them what the scholars say this. I'm going to bust out a book or something where the scholars actually said it, but also say this is in general. Our circumstances may be a little bit different. But the safest, just like in the video where I said, I don't wipe over socks. The reason, even when they thick, the reason why I don't wipe over socks, because I started in hadiths, and at the time the only understanding that I had was that they had to be leather, because I didn't have all the dalil. It took for me to get Abu Dawud, the book of Abu Dawud, to find the actual hadith in it that uses the term that can be quoted as thick socks. Just like how I say in some of these areas, everybody didn't have all the dalil. Just like right now for us, some people be like, oh, well, that's a scholar, that's impossible. Everybody don't always have all of the dalil or don't know it, but some of us may have the books, we just have to go look for it. This is the safest way in Islam. That's why the minhaj, not the rhetoric, minhaj, a salif, is the safest. We don't care about all the slander, and we don't care about particular groups who not really on this minhaj, but it's always in their mouth. Minhaj of the Salaf is the safest to be able to answer these questions in the grave. There should be no doubt about that. And when people understand Aqidah in particular ways, you will start to learn this. Okay? You need to know. In some areas, they had ijma in this city, but there was ijma against that in a whole other city. Y'all understand? So I've heard, like I say, and by me listening to scholars, sitting with scholars that I can ask questions, one scholar, because like I said, by me, the way I learn always, because I used to hear a particular group always saying what a majority of the scholars said. So by me coming from hadiths, y'all got to understand, by me reading, and I always say this, not as a bragging point, by me reading Sahih Bukhari entirely, before I read anything else, when I used to hear them say, well, the majority of the scholars say this, but it go against something that's in Sahih Bukhari. So in my head, wait a minute. So then I'm thinking, like, how could this be? This go against Sahih Bukhari. So although I was lacking understanding, it helped me because it led me to ask questions. Well, when did they take a poll on all of the scholars to get the answers for this? Because you got scholars in Africa, you got scholars in Kuwait, you got scholars in Yemen, and Africa is a continent. So there's scholars in Ethiopia, there's scholars in Morocco, there's scholars in Mauritania, there's scholars in Egypt, there's scholars in the Sudan. When did they get them together and take a poll on this to know what the majority of the scholars agreed on? Then that's when I was told, well, what they do is they take it when it's a certain fiqh things, it depends on the madhabs. So if three madhabs agree and then one don't agree, that means that majority of the scholars agree because three madhabs is in agreement over one, which that was a form of it. So then I was talking to another scholar and we was in a class, and he said it's really based off of the scholars who wrote books about it from the past, and they put in these companions, this and this. They put in like how it was agreed. So you have to go by who wrote about it. So I said, okay. So for people who don't know this and don't understand this, and then on a basic level here, they were saying that ijma, because they trying to use the word consensus of what the masjid decided. Case in point, them praying the wrong direction. Well, it's ijma of the masjid, you have to go with it. And I took that way of thinking everywhere. When did this community sit down and take a vote on it? Most people just came in this masjid and just started praying the way that everybody was praying and never questioned it. I did that in the beginning. Alhamdulillah, I just had a prayer rug with a compass on it, and when I laid it down, my compass turned another direction, and I said, wait a minute. I thought my rug was broke. The compass was broke. So sometimes ijma can be based off of the misunderstanding that a person have that you're listening to. That's why the safest way is start at the top. Start at the top. When like I said, until you until you start to get education. And I'm sitting up saying, these is jewels that I'm giving y'all from sitting in classrooms. So, your next principle, Qawaid al-Arba. This is the 4 rules of shirk and tawheed. Once you know how to get your life together, and you stay conscious. You have that taqwa of Allah, and then you have that tawakkul, and learn how to really put your trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. You're going to live in accordance with trying to be able to answer these questions. Because you know what? In the end, by me drawing this line right here, guess what we going to name that? The Sirat. Because all of this is about the barzakh. All of this is about that next life. So the Sirat, the bridge that you cross, right? Your ability to cross that bridge is also going to be in accordance with how you deemed. So let's say you praying this month. This next month you're not praying. Let's say you pray today, but then you don't pray tomorrow. Right? Let's say you an alcoholic and you're smoking weed and you're popping pills all month, and then you go 2 weeks without it. Guess what you're doing? You're swaying back and forth. 1 week you have these beliefs. I want to study. I don't want to study. I'm Salafi. No, I'm Sunni. No, it's too confusing. I'm just a Muslim. What a lot of people fall into. And then, they hear something different. Now I'm Ash'ari. You're swaying. You're swaying. That's going to make you sway on that bridge. And when you sway on that bridge, if you slip off, you fall down into the DNF section, baby. You fall off that bridge. Now, like I said, I can't give y'all all of it because y'all finna start studying this. And as y'all come across it, y'all going to be like, now I see what I was talking about. I like to give y'all a primer and give y'all little small breakdowns. My TV done reset. Okay, alhamdulillah. So you want to be able to answer these questions. You want to be able to deal with the Sirat. You want to be able to be firm on the Sirat. Now once you get across the Sirat, right, there's an area right here. It's called the Kantara. It's called the Kantara. I don't even know if I spelled that right because I've never spelt it in English a day in my life until just now. So I don't even know if that's spelled right. I probably need an I in there. Kantara. Kantara. Anyway, the Kantara. So the Kantara, any beef that you have with another Muslim or some people that you owe, whatever the gripe is, any beef or any gripe, y'all gonna stand right here and y'all gonna experience each other knuckle game. So you might have, let's say, 50 Muslims you done wronged and y'all all make it across the Sirat. You got 50 fades if they choose to not rectify them. Then on the other side of the Kantara, is Jannah. So you don't want to be held up on the Kantara. Now, some of the things that I've been told by some people of knowledge is that this all your ability to throw them knuckles is going to be based off if you're in the right or if you're in the wrong. Just like your ability to cross this is going to be how you deemed. Your ability to answer these questions is going to be how you deemed. So in the Kantara, if you wronged all these people, you may have been able to whoop them in this life. But when y'all get to the Kantara, they just might knuckle you up But you don't want to sit up there and have 50 fades, 60 fades. And that's why I feel bad for when I see Muslims get to arguing with each other on Facebook over trivial things and make comments about each other and all this other type of stuff without ever rectifying it. Especially for the ones that be on the wrong. Now just imagine some little stuff that you're doing on Facebook and Instagram that you take lightly, that you don't have a clue that on the contra you might get knuckled up. You don't know what this pain, what those punishments, what getting beat up is going to feel like, or whatever that punishment is going to be. So you don't want to get held up on the contra, right? So rectify your affairs and be smooth with Muslims, or don't fall into petty beefs and gripes. If something need to be said, then say it, and then alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. End on them terms. So al-qawaid al-arba, which is the 4 rules of shirk. A lot of people don't even really know the rules of shirk. And then there's some rules of tawheed in there as well. Your next book is Usul al-Sitta, the 6 fundamental principles, which I went over in one of the videos because I knew I was going to introduce y'all into this, right? And then there, number 4, Nawaqid al-Islam, which is the invalidators of Islam. So you're going to learn how to live your life in accordance with Islam, the safest way, living your life with proof and evidences of the deen, so you can answer those questions and so you could cross that sirat. And like I gave example for some of the brothers, but we got to give some for the sisters. One day you covered, next day you not. One foot on, one foot slipping off. One day you covered properly, the next day you're not. One moment you're honoring and carrying yourself a certain way with your husband, then the next day you're not, because you had a dream, you had an attitude about something, things that's not permissible to mistreat your husband. You got one foot on the sirat, now your foot done slipped off. All of this is gonna tie into, because like I'm sitting down saying, you're gonna say your religion is Islam, but we just gonna say 59% of what you do goes against Islam. So we giving you a pretty good percentage. But 59%, it ain't even 50-50. So you're more wrong than right. 59% of what you do goes against Islam. Has no place, has no basis. How you gonna say Islam was your religion? How you gonna answer that? Huh? So, these is all short treaties, right? But for the new shahadas, what I'm gonna have y'all do is I'm going to have y'all go through this. The 3 fundamental principles. Why through this? Because it breaks down a whole lot of what I'm saying, and at the end of each section, right? And I might just buy them for y'all as a Ramadan gift going into Ramadan. I had to think about it. So after lesson 1, right? As soon as you get done with lesson 1, this is basically your homework section. So like lesson 1, the questions. So you will see in some of your keys and your terminologies, you have some Arabic words that help you learn them, get you familiar. And then some of your questions is, we'll say this one. Some people say that the verse, there is no compulsion in religion, means that we do not have to follow those commands of Allah that are too difficult for us or that we do not like. How would you explain the correct explanation of this verse to them? Okay, let's give you one more. What are some points of benefit that we can find in the life story of Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab? List 2 ways that you would like to take him as an example in your life. So then you'll get to see some of the true stuff about Abdul Wahhab, how he was a reformer, okay? And instead of all of these fallacies and different things that people put out there to tear him down, or things that they may deem a mistake, or things they tried to do to him, but he done it to them first. You understand? So you can get to learn something about him. Another question: why is this book a good one to be studied by the Muslims? That's one question. Then 2, who are some of the scholars who have recommended this book? Right? Next, then, like right here, some of your questions right here. What are 2 categories of al-Imam according to the scholars? What's 2 categories of Iman? Sound kind of tricky, right? So then after you get done with your homework, then after the end of like 5 lessons, right? Let me make sure. I ain't done this book, man. Well, I go through it with people, but I ain't did it in 10 years, man. So after 6 or 7 lessons, hold on, I'm still in like lesson 7. Basically, after a certain amount of lessons, you have a quiz on the lessons. Then, but there's homework after every lessons, and there's 29 in here, is it? 25. So there's 25 homework quizzes, right? And then there's a final exam on the whole thing. There's a final exam on the whole thing. And then in the very back, you get a certificate, but I'm going to put y'all grade on it. To let you know, put on there, you pass this in a way that you can teach it to people. You grasp it, you could teach it. You understand it, but you can answer questions, but you possibly shouldn't be teaching it. But you passed it, you know, you may be a C student. But anyway, that's what I'm going to do with y'all as far as this one. Now with Qawaid al-Arba, this is one that I use right here. The 4 rules of shirk. Now, the reason why I use this one, because it's taught by 8 scholars. It's taught by 8 different scholars. So when I had to do the, like I said, these are short books. So when I had to do it to get my ijazah, you could get in, it has the Arabic in it. So you can get a small book with the Arabic in it. The class was doing the one that was taught by Ben Baz. So when I went through it with them, right, I said, alhamdulillah, I like the book. So I went and got it, and it's translated. It got some Arabic and stuff in it, like, let me see. I don't know why I be trying to show this to people. So it got the original book in Arabic in it, just to show y'all how short the book is. So like when some people be saying they got ijazahs in book and they try to make it sound fancy, sometimes, like, look at this. This is 1, 2, 3. It ain't even 4 pages in Arabic. But this is explanation, and they use hadith, they use things So the explanations is different than the actual book that you get ijaza in. So a lot of people don't know that. So some people be duping the people, making it seem like they done got this. They might see the book like this in English. And the reason why this book is so thick, because like I said, it's an explanation by 8 different scholars. And when you read it and see how they explain it, they all got something that the other one doesn't have. So when you do that, it makes me more well-rounded. And these is 8 heavy scholars. So anyway, man, we're going to end on that note. I'm going to show y'all a Sula Sitta. Matter of fact, I'm going to show y'all, if y'all want to get the books, but we're going to use Wajibat for Lato Asul. 1 second. Now, when it comes to the 6 fundamental principles of Sula Sitta, to me, this one is my favorite. I read 3 different versions of this. I like this one, right? And it got some beautiful notes. Y'all can see where I marked in there about like madhabs and stuff, where you can learn a thing or two about madhabs. But what I like about this one, it got all the Arabic. So you could check your translation. Well, y'all don't know Arabic right now, but this right here, this that one. So the way they break everything down, it got the Arabic. This is, like I said, like that one, it's explained by 8 scholars. This book is also explained by numerous scholars. This one is done by Sheikh Al-Fawzan, right? I love it. So and this book is fairly cheap. You can get it on Amazon, in your city. This is the version I prefer. So if y'all want to get that one, get that one. This one right here, I read 3 different versions of this one. It's the nullifiers of Islam, but it also has authentic Aqidah. So you can get it without the authentic Aqidah. You can get it explained by different peoples, the nullifiers of Islam. I actually had one that I like better than this one because this is the book without the explanation. So you could get the explanation where it's explained. Like I said, I always have my notes in there. And the thing about it is this, though. What I liked about the other one I had, I gave to someone else so that they can have a better version because I have ijaza in this. Right? You know what I'm saying? I got 2. I think I got 3 in this. 3 different ijazas. But it's the same thing. So I gave away the better version. So whichever one y'all want to get it at, alhamdulillah. And as you can see, they're very short books. Except for Usul Thalatha, which you can get a short book, but I want y'all to have this one. With these tests, with these quiz, with these lessons. And as you can see, like, as I started getting off into my books a little bit later, or I was dealing with them with other people, I stopped highlighting in them, because sometimes when you go to read, so I do a pen. So like, I underline. So like for people who might want to start highlighting, and some of these books with some of the paper, when you go back and look at it a year or 2 later, sometimes it makes the words hard to read. So anyway, man, let's conclude on that. Don't forget y'all questions. How tall is Adam? In the original state. Do we go back to that original height that Adam was? Right? And if we do, when do we go back to it? When we in the grave or when we reach our destination? Okay? So y'all remember this too, so when y'all listening to them sharp-tongued individuals, when in this city, It might have been ijma in this city, but in this city, 95% of them disagree with that ijma in that one. That's what y'all have to understand. And sometimes when you get into the deen, you can understand why this is possible. That's why, like the moon fighting wars, and you can see the hadiths, we're going to cite the moon based off of our city. So that's why you can see here, even in the United States, the city 30 minutes away might not see the moon, but we might see it. They might not have the same type technology. They might not have a moon sighting committee, and then they might set up a committee that you think go look for the moon, but they do it based off of calculations, and then they'll misuse a hadith instead of going with a country that's based off of Sharia, rulings that's based off of Sharia. So we can differ in all this and that. So you have to really understand what ijma of the Salaf as-Salih meant. You understand? You have to go and see what ijma of the Salaf as-Salih really meant. And if you don't take those steps of tarbiyah like I had written over here, that preschool, like daycare, preschool, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, you won't know these type of things. And it is important once you start trying to push certain ways and practices on people, and then you getting away with it because you're a smooth talker. But anyway, man, let me get up out of here, man. I gotta get these prayers in, man. I'm going a little bit long, man. I'm trying to finish up, you know. So anyway, man, assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.